Stop training teachers about trauma. I'll tell you why next.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm the trauma mama, and if you don't know me, I'm married to Josh, and we have 3 kids who were adopted through foster care. This channel is all about raising kids who have experienced trauma, raising kids with special needs, and some basic simplicity parenting hacks.
It might sound counterintuitive for a mom of 3 kids with trauma to be saying, stop training teachers about trauma. I think we need to let teachers teach all kids. I think that they need to focus on strong tier 1 instruction. That helps all kids. If we empower teachers to focus solely on their tier 1 instruction and building relationships with their students, then we have a school social worker in every school building. Then they can design plans for each student that needs it. They can have a flexible schedule for when an unexpected event happens for a kid that might not have even been on the radar. Things happen suddenly, like do they have a military parent who suddenly gets deployed? Are their parents going through a divorce? Do they have a new sibling? Are their parents taking in foster children? A lot can change suddenly. So having a school social worker who is focused on trauma, can see things through the trauma lens, and can be available for students when they need it, I think that is key. Then trauma coaches. And the trauma coach would be available to teachers to meet every other week, once a month, just so that teachers can then give scenarios, things that have happened in their classroom, ask for some suggested small tweaks to their tier 1 instruction that would specifically help students with trauma, rather than having teachers feel like they have to do it all. You know, if you're in a math class and all of a sudden a kid that you can tell has experienced trauma or is having a trauma reaction, you can't stop the instruction and go and meet the need of that student. And for teachers to constantly feel like they are put in that position, it builds a lot of pressure. So if they had a coach that they could go and talk to, who could even come and observe their class and give some suggested tweaks, you know, in a non-evaluatory situation, I think that would be huge. When I worked at DCF, I was very efficient about my work. It's a strength of mine. I was really efficient, which gave me time to go and have detailed conversations with the social workers. And basically, I would just let them talk to me. Then I could reflect back to them through the eyes of the child, the impact on the child, because that was second nature to me. I knew it through watching my kids. For the workers to have somebody like me who could listen, hear the whole thing, and then be able to go back with here's the impact on the child and here's what you could do, was really big piece of making better decisions for kids. Schools, the same thing could happen. If educators had someone with the bandwidth, I think schools could continue to educate kids and could help kids with trauma have better success. Okay, we were doing an opinion writing piece where students had to pick something they liked and describe why they liked it. The student picked Paw Patrol toys, which is his favorite thing. But he had a meltdown at the next part, which was to come up with a list of what he likes about it. That led to a refusal, and I was stuck on holding him accountable versus giving him a pass because it's his trauma, please help. Particularly kids with pre-verbal trauma, they don't have a strong understanding of why their body feels one way about some things and another way about something else. It can be really hard for them to describe why they like something. What is it they like about it? That you might hear something like, I just do. That's probably exactly how they feel. Again, in this situation, the teacher is suddenly torn between accountability and getting students to complete their work, and how do I respect this kid's trauma? I think often schools go in the opposite way, where they just not have him do any writing. That leads to problems, because that child does still need to do some writing and the assignment. Is there a way to give a crutch? Looking through the trauma lens, here's what this kid is telling us. He knows what he likes. He likes Paw Patrol toys. He likes it so much that even the adults, isn't that nice that the adults know him so well that they know he likes Paw Patrol toys? What he's struggling with is coming up with the reasons why. Often in schools, kids with writing, there's a lot that goes into it. There's the penmanship, the spelling, the sentence structure, and the ideas. Remove as much of it as you can. Maybe give this child multiple choice and list out 3 sentences that would be appropriate reasons that somebody would like Paw Patrol. I like Paw Patrol because they help people. I like Paw Patrol because they float in water. Maybe the toys float and that's why the kid likes it. I like Paw Patrol because they fit on the shelf behind my bed. Give 3 choices, all of which could be true. So it's not a multiple choice test where only one is right. Make all of them right. So whichever one the child picks fits the assignment. Okay, so then say he picks, I like Paw Patrol toys because they float. Have that on a sentence strip, have him write it down, copy it. Now, if handwriting is his struggle, have somebody else write it for him. That's fine. If handwriting isn't his struggle and it's just the idea, then having it out on a sentence strip and having him copy it takes away just enough without enabling, okay? So then after he's written it, be like, okay, now how do you know that they float? Like, where have you seen a Paw Patrol toy float? Get him to talk about things like he plays with them in the bathtub, maybe swimming, he plays with them. Somehow describe how he knows about it. Have it more like a conversation, and that will help him get more detail. You could even use the word detail. Oh, I want to know more detail about how Paw Patrol toys float. Can you tell me more about that? And so then you're building some of that language that you want the students to learn about writing while making an accommodation. You really want to be focusing on what's an accommodation I could make, not how do I remove this task from this child. Again, it's an example of where the teacher, the tier 1 instruction, the teacher should be the expert on writing structure, types of writing students need to learn, how, give manipulatives and things that help students learn to write. The teacher should not be pulled away from everyone else to make an in-the-moment decision about what this kid with trauma needs. That's why the school system needs something else in place, so there's someone behind the scene who's figuring all that out, who's handing the toolbox to the teacher so they can just pull it. Oh, yep, when this kid struggles with writing, I'm going to pull out these sentence strips. We need to stop making teachers have so much pressure to figure it out in the moment, and we need to just give them a toolbox so it's easy. If we don't do this, the teachers who care the most about students will be the ones to burn out the fastest. That is going to change our education system forever. We won't be able to bounce back from it. I have a student who runs out of the classroom when he's reminded to do a required task. After he leaves the classroom, he runs up and down the hallways, and one time he even ran outside on the playground. I want to support him so he doesn't run, but we never know when it's going to happen. Any advice? It could be a couple different things. One is kids with trauma can be very alert to shifts in adult demeanor in a way that other students and other people just aren't. Most people work on their tone of voice. Educators are great at keeping a very kind tone of voice. That is a really good thing. But to some kids, like I have one kid in particular, when an adult is feeling a little more alert, engaged, but uses the same kind tone, that's a trigger for him because he can tell from the body language. See how I kind of sat up, my body got stiff, but my voice didn't change? That can actually be a trigger for one kid. I think a lot of times it's like, okay, make sure you use the right tone, make sure your facial features look the same. Yes, to the extent that is reasonable, but some kids will pick up on that body change. My son can notice when someone's heartbeat changes. He starts refusing to do activities, people are going to suddenly get engaged, like, okay, we got to support this kid. So I don't necessarily think it's about let's avoid having any indication that we're now on a more serious matter. I think it's more about, one, have your voice match what you're actually feeling. So be really authentic. Depending what the reminder is about. If it can be nonverbal, so if it's something that happens every day, if there could be a visual checklist of things that everybody has to do, I think making it really clear this is for everybody. A lot of times students with trauma feel like they're on their own, they're the only one having to do this, and so making it about, oh, this is what kindergartners do, this is what first graders do, everyone here is doing this. I think that helps. Making up the reminder nonverbal. Then the piece of this question that stood out to me was once the student leaves the classroom, they're running up and down the hallway. That tells me this kid is now triggered, he's left the classroom, and he's looking for a place to go. So you could have a designated area that's okay for this kid to go. You have to make sure it is always available. The hard part in schools is they are space limited. If you pick a room that's accessible to all students in crisis, there could be another student in crisis, and then this kid doesn't have a place to go. Designate a space, even if it's a certain spot in the hallway where they're sitting against the wall. Have the kid practice going there. One school had like tape on the floor that showed, it was like a path for this kid to be able to find his safe spot. I think that's awesome. Reinforce when he does it, even either during practice or when there's an actual event. Nonverbal. My kid, I know, likes nonverbal signals when he's triggered. Even if it's praise, a nonverbal works much better. Nonverbal and subtle, like that's saying you're on the right track. I know you're gonna get there. But don't say those words. Those words mean something to the adult, but they can be triggering to the kid. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm way off base? Comment below. I'd love to start a discussion in the comments about it. I want teachers to be able to teach, and I want to keep the teachers who care about kids with trauma. But if we put all the kids with trauma in the one classroom in that grade level that knows and is great at trauma, that teacher will burn out and will not stay in the profession. Kids will not continue to have high quality education. Let's prevent that. Thanks for watching.